Jeez, we're back in the room, Paul. We're back in the room. Oh no, it says error. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's something. It says failed to start recording. The following participants may be experiencing connection problems. Okay. Oh, hello. Hello.
Oh, it's recording. Back in the room. We are back in the room, Martin.
We are
back in the room. We're back in the room. We're having some technical errors, peeps. So sorry to our public, but let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. Let's give it a freaking go.
Right. So we're off. Okay. So what am I saying? Yeah. So today we're going to talk about 10 things that we're just a little bit jealous of when it comes to neurotypicals. Because
envious.
What? No. Right. And it's not because we think that they're better or that we're better. It's just that they are more standard issue. The world is built around them, so they get to do things easily.
And on occasions, like even if it's just for one freaking day, could we just not be like them? And just, things could be a little bit easier.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a
can't help but think.
Teeny weeny bit easier.
Yeah. So let's go to a place where the distractions are landmarks and the detours are the main roads. Welcome to ADHDville.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's go there.
Where's the music?
Yes. Talking about jealousy.
Right,
talking about envy.
Music is happening.
Envy, jealousy. Jealousy, envy.
Yeah. I can't hear I can't hear any music. So
where did the intro go? Music go?
Which is weird. I don't know, mate. Oh, let's just pretend that I overdubbed it in.
Right, we're not slaves to technology. We can improvise. We can. Hello, I'm Paul Thompson. I was diagnosed. That'll do. I was diagnosed.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that. I was diagnosed with the ADH and the D,
and I'm
practically a couple of years ago.
Okay. Nice. And I'm Martin Weston. I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2013.
Hurrah!
Seems like a lifetime ago. And we start off, as always, here in the town hall, in the mayor's, in the pub. No, we don't start off in the town hall. We are starting off in the mayor's. No, not even the mayor's.
Where are we, Martin?
God, it's like such a chaos. It's chaos, Thompson. It's we are starting off as we do.
Well, let's put this in
agitated pub.
Let's put this into a little bit of context. We started this podcast about half an hour ago, and then technology went against us.
Yep.
And we had to abandon the whole freaking episode, and we had to start all over again. What the fuck? Che cazzo però?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is us restarting and trying to find the energy, get the energy back, pretending that we haven't already done this once this evening. This is us being agile.
I have the energy.
Yes.
Right. I have the energy. It's just
me too.
It's just my brain has said, I've already said all this. I can just forget all of that, right? I can just dump it.
You've already ticked those boxes.
Basket.
Yeah.
So it's now having. Right. Have you ever done this thing, Paul, where you're cooking something from a packet and it has instructions on the packet, right? And you get the thing out and you shove the box into the trash can, right? and then you go, oh, hang on a second, and then you have to rummage around the trash can
Fish
to
it back.
read what the cooking instructions are, right?
Yeah.
That thing,
Mm.
that's what my that's what my
Right. Okay.
brain is currently doing. It just
Yeah.
threw all of the first episode, all of the first 15 minutes into the trash, and now I'm having to like get into the trash and
And also, by the way,
I've got
I just want to say to our wonderful public, our wonderful listeners,
yeah.
the half an hour that we lost was pure fucking podcast gold that the world is never going to hear.
Oh,
how do you feel about that?
It was buffed to comments. A shining shine.
Right. Oh. Please send us some comments about that podcast gold that you're never fucking going to hear ever again.
Right. Because now I'm going to slightly meander onto an ADHD anecdote.
Oh, I love meandering.
About stuff in the trash, right? So I was in a restaurant. This was with my youngest son, and we'd eaten everything, right, and then paid up, and then I went to go to the car, and I realised I didn't have my keys on me. I was like, oh, what have I done with my keys? Patting my pockets. You know what? Maybe I left them on the restaurant table. So let's go back. So I went back into the restaurant, right? Looking around the table, and they'd already cleared it. And I was like, did you see any keys? No, we did not see any keys. I said, where does all the food go? And I said, oh, it goes into a big...
Oh, no.
Into a big container in the kitchen. And I became convinced that my keys were sort of had been scraped along with the food and ended up in the kitchen's trash, right? And
Can I stop you right there? Can I stop you?
Can I just go through
right at this point, either your son,
there. Yes,
either your son has them, they're in a pocket that you haven't even explored yet, where they could be, or they're under the table,
or they're in the food trash.
Or in the fucking food trash. Oh God! So your instinct was
right. So I'm in the restaurant kitchen. I'm in the restaurant.
No.
I'd looked everywhere. Right, that was the only place left. Right, so I'm in the restaurant kitchen, and they set up a second trash can, and I go through all of the leftovers, you know, like when they come in, you know, when people have eaten and they just scrape it into the trash and into the, and it's just like food, right? It's just food, like half-eaten bagels and, you know, eggs and God knows what's in there, right? And I sift through the whole. I do about like a foot, a good foot in, and it isn't there, and I'm like, oh, God damn this is. You know, I got my son, and he's like, "What the hell is Dad doing?" He's like elbow deep in all this cabbage, and
God,
eventually turned up. It was in my other pocket. It was me. It was in my other pocket.
No.
It was in the pocket. Anyway, Jesus Christ!
If there was ever a definition of
ADHD.
the worst ADHD scenario,
ADHD.
That is it. ADHD. That is it. Oh God, that's oh God.
Right. Yeah. Let me just size myself up for ADHD. Yep. Yep. I think. Yep. Definitely ADHD. Too.
We're up to. We just need to decide where we're going, Martin, to discuss it.
I'm lost.
Which I would suggest we go to the coffee shop at this point.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
So there,
I'm glad
there
someone
goes.
is
So we start the
vaguely on
the tractor sounds.
the tractor. Let's start the
tractor.
tractor. Let's go to the coffee place, and hopefully,
Yes, let's go there.
The tractor starts.
Oh, there we go.
You know what?
That's good.
Let's pretend.
Let's pretend.
What? Can you hear the
I can,
tractor?
yeah, totally.
I'm gonna have to overdub
Okay.
it in afterwards.
So,
Can you?
what are you going to have, Martin? What kind of coffee are you going to have? Oh,
Anyway, oh God, you know what, mate? I think last time I went with an iced matcha, but I think I'm gonna have to have something a lot stronger. I'm gonna have to have what we call a red eye.
okay.
A red eye, which is like it's a triple. I think it's like a triple shot espresso. It's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. I'm going to go for a Bloody Mary, which is
heart
totally
starter.
off.
What about
Totally off menu.
Yeah.
It's totally off menu. It's a coffee shop, but I do happen to know that they do happen to keep some cheeky, quantities of if special clients, if they roll in like me and they want a Bloody Mary, they do them. I'm going to have that.
I know the manager. Paul shouts.
Exactly.
Cool. All right.
So let's get on, I suppose, at this point to the theme.
Let's get on to our 10 things that we're slightly jealous about. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, what
Slash
this isn't
envious.
is a neurotypicals versus ADHD thing.
No.
Right. This isn't a sort of a brain war. This is just like 10 things we're a little bit jealous of because the world works for them and not for us.
There's enough. There's enough. God knows there's enough polarization in the world, and we are not. People do not come to ADHDville podcast for polarization. It's not what we're about. So let's start with you, Martin. What's number one on your list?
I should go first, I feel.
Yeah.
Right. Number one is consistent energy and focus without burnout or getting bored. And I'm jealous.
See, that's already resonating for the second time.
Seem to just like decide to turn their attention to something and then
do it.
and then they do it. They
Fuck
go, you know what? I'm going to fill out some paperwork and then I'm going to go and mow the lawn and then I'm going to go and cook breakfast. I don't know, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, you know what? I can prioritize stuff. I can just
no problems with transition.
and I can just do it. And they might have off days, right, where they're tired because they've been drinking the night before or something.
Right, they've got a hangover.
Right. But they can somehow just manage to kind of like keep going at a steady pace, whereas we are like we're either on fire and we're like running at 100 miles an hour and doing stuff, or we're just kind of flatlining and we're like, no, I can't do this thing.
Yeah.
But they are consistent, like
fuckers.
You know, I wish I could just have that sometimes.
Totally.
You know what I mean? If I could just kind of hit the consistent button for like a day.
Yeah. Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Lovely. That sounds good. That's good. It's good. Okay. The first one on my list, Martin. Thank you for asking.
If you like, is that.
Yes.
is that the oh, look, Ed is hang on. Ed is caught in my in my headphone lead. He's got his legs wrapped in it. Hang on.
Okay. Is he garroted?
I need my headphones back. There we go.
Was
Chaos
Eddie was
episode.
good?
Chaos episode.
It is. Is Eddie garroted in your headphone
Yeah.
cable?
So I was just going to finish up and say no. No, he just got his little back leg caught in it.
Bless him.
So I was just going to say that the upside, if you like, of our not having consistent energy and focus is that when we are on, when we have that energy and we do have that or that focus, we are like, we can learn stuff really quick. We can master all kinds of different stuff.
Totally. It's like we're on it. The
It has its advantages, but sometimes I would just like a little bit of consistency.
And I'm guessing, but
number
I'm only
two,
guessing.
Oh no,
I'm only guessing, but I'm guessing that neuronormal people are looking at us at certain points and thinking, "Oh God, I wish I was as spontaneous as that guy, Mr. West over there."
Yes,
you know what I mean. There's upsides and downsides. Anyway, on my list, I've got something quite specific. The first one on my list: remembering people's names in Italian.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't know this until about 18 months ago, but my brain has a how can I put it? It has like it maxes out beyond 30 names that I need to remember. So I started after 35 years as being a creative director. I changed profession and I became a teacher in high school. And all of a sudden, I need to remember in the last 18 months, somewhere between 700 and 900 different names in Italian. Turns out I can't do that. Turns out my brain is saying, absolutely fucking not, Thompson. Are you off your rocker? No.
That's crazy.
You can't do it. And literally, I've realized 18 months on, my brain is saying, no, I can't do it. Not only that, it's not like I can't remember any of those names. I can't remember any names beyond this point. It's all become a big mess, a big mush, a big blur of names. And I can't remember anyone's names anymore. So I envy, and I'm slightly jealous / envy of people that can remember names, because it is a problem, actually.
Right.
Yes.
Especially in Italian names, because they're longer. Stefano, Da Vinci, Da Bali,
Yes. Well, I did some bit of research on it. There is a thing, because as an English speaker, everything, Italian names often contain sounds, syllable structures, or letter combinations that are not familiar to an English brain. So even if they were English names, I would probably be having a bit of a struggle. But in Italian, with these syllable and sound combinations, my brain goes, no, you can't do it. Forget about it. It has become a problem, actually, especially when it comes to the point where I have to give kids at school a grade for their conversation English, and I can't remember any of them.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. No, ho dimenticato totalmente il loro nome, neanche per sognare. Ecco.
Oh.
Okay, so that's my thing. Yeah.
Right.
What I basically said was I can't even dream of remembering their names.
Right. I just thought actually, sort of Greek names are even longer.
Of course. Yeah,
Second, so
syllable
this would be number
combinations.
3. Obviously, as we're going down the top 10, not in
Oh, right.
any order, but
Mhm.
I think this is one where you and I overlap. So my one is his memory that shows up on time. Like I need, like when I need something, like wearing my keys. Yeah, even like what is that person's name, or
Yeah.
what is that? Like I suddenly need to remember something, like an
Yes.
appointment, or what time it was. Like that part of my brain just decides to shut down. Just goes no, no.
Yeah.
So like
Goes
it would
walkies.
be good if I could just remember things when I need to remember them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would,
Yeah. No, I get that
yeah,
totally. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
So I
mean,
mean,
it's interesting
it
because
is
it's like
very
it seems like the most
difficult
basic
to
of
find an
things, doesn't
upside
it?
to that. Like
No, there isn't
uh,
one.
like no, because there isn't. I can't, but yeah, yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
made the chair creak. That's bad of me. So,
Okay. Okay. Shall we go to number? What is it? Number
yeah, right.
4?
No, no, it's a real pain in my butt. So if I could just remember stuff when I need to remember, that would be great. Especially like if I'm doing a presentation, right? I'm in a Zoom call and I'm doing a presentation. I'm already mid story. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to abandon that story and let's go on to number 4.
Yes. Number 4, Martin,
Are you a
is
bit behind in
managing.
your audio?
Yeah, it is. It is a lot, a lot. Let's hope that everything's going to sync miraculously. Number 4 is managing
Number 4. Yeah.
documentation. Managing documentation. This literally happened to me today. Okay, I had to go and find a document, and it was time
Mm,
precious. It was time precious. I had to find it within a certain slot. Okay, not a physical slot. I mean a time slot. Martin,
right.
get your mind out of the gutter. Okay, and I had to find it, and I got so anxious about it. And I
Right.
said to my girlfriend, because my girlfriend was involved in this, and she said, I said to her, look, I know you're looking at me and I'm getting anxious about it. I know I'm not pretending there's any logic to my anxiety about this freaking document. There's no logic. I'm not pretending it. I'm not pretending that it needs to it needs to in some way coincide with your logic. I'm saying it just makes me very anxious. I remember I said to my accountant years before I had my ADHD diagnosis, okay, I said, I think I've got some kind of phobia with documentation. As it
Mm-hmm.
turns out, it is a kind of, it feels to me, and the best way I've
Oh,
ever found to explain it to my girlfriend is that it feels like a phobia, and it does make me very anxious to kind of like, oh, I need to find a certain document in a certain time frame, um, and it is time precious because if I don't find it in time, it it's going to have it's going to have repercussions, financial repercussions. Okay. And I became, literally, this happened today, I became really nervous and angry and frustrated. and it's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
And so my envy is that I wish I didn't have to have that sense of phobia with this kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that resonate for you? Did you have that kind of level of anxiety with this?
Is that so? Is that like finding things within a certain time frame, sort of a
Yeah,
sort of a pressured searching?
exactly. But not even in my language, in Italian, I have to do that.
Hello.
Hello. Holy crap. See, now you're perfectly in sync.
Right. Right.
Well,
And I
as
guess.
perfect as it will be.
Right. Okay. Should we just plow on, like, and then
I don't know. It's up to you. Edit this mess.
or I'm just going to charge on anyway, and then I'm gonna piece it together somehow. I'm
All
gonna
right.
piece together this whole shenanigans.
Even if you only piece together the audio,
Yeah,
you
that's what I
know,
was thinking. Even
just
if
piece
it's
together the audio.
right, and then I'll have a picture of of us
Yes.
or something, just for fuckery.
You can have a
Oh
picture of us hugging or something.
yeah, yeah.
Will you
Or just
choose? Or a pigeon,
well, yeah, it'll
as
probably
is
be
your want.
a pigeon. As is my predilection. Predilection.
It's a shame because I think there's some podcast gold in there.
There is no.
Anyway,
I think it's good. I think I like
it's
the
all good.
energy.
It's very
I
nice.
like the chaos energy of it.
Yes. Yeah. So I think we're at 5.
Right. So I'm going to crack on and say
Right.
number 5, count them,
5.
is
Yeah.
emotional stability. Like
Yeah.
neurotypical people aren't quite as they're a little bit more, less up and down, right?
Yeah.
Like if they get annoyed,
Hmm.
they are annoyed for a bit, right, and then they kind of get over it and kind of
Hmm.
carry on. Whereas we will be, like if something bad happens, that can like flatten us out. Like we'll just be dead. We'll just be
Yes.
we'll just be either sort of like have a complete meltdown,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
like we'll just kind of emotionally just burn out and
Yeah.
overthink and
Yeah. Well, I'm going to challenge you on that one,
all right.
Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing about being neuro diverse is that we're ultra sensitive to our kind of the ups and downs of our um, sensitivities. Okay,
Right.
and that there are many people I've known, many neurotypicals that they have no consciousness of their ups and downs,
Yeah,
and
that's what I mean.
to yeah. And so, okay. So it's like I always said before I got diagnosed with ADHD, my sensitivity was my best friend and my worst enemy at the same time.
Right.
Okay, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
So the twist is that us being how we are does mean that that when we do feel
Mm,
we do feel hard, and even though our sort of emotions might
mm,
kind of knock us sideways, they actually end up driving us towards
yes.
connecting with people
Yeah.
and being
Yes.
being creative and passionate,
Mm,
right? So we
yes.
kind of so it's a good, as you say, it's his best friend and it's your worst enemy. But sometimes I would
Mm,
just like that kind of more flatter thing
Yeah.
sometimes, just
Yeah.
once in a while,
It, uh,
would be
it'd be
nice.
like somewhere. It doesn't have to be your best friend or your worst enemy. It could be just like an associate, someone that you
Right.
know,
A
someone,
co-worker.
a co-worker. I mean,
Just
how banal can you get? Co-worker,
once in a while.
you know,
I would like that.
Jesus, a co-worker.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that. I love
All
that.
right.
Yeah. Okay, love
So
that.
number 6 is yours.
Oh, this is a big one. A sense of place.
A sense of place.
Place. This is a biggie.
All right.
Okay, so since this sense of place, this is like I've got in brackets restlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 5 S's in one word. Well done, restlessness. 5 S's in one word. That's bring it on. Okay, anyway, so I worked out since I moved to Italy, I've moved house 12 times in 20 years.
That's crazy.
I've I've moved house 12 times in 20 years. Since I was 21 and I left home, I counted this evening. I've moved house, I think 20, maybe 21 times.
That's
And
crazy.
here's where the envy comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I see people that have stayed in the same freaking house, in the same freaking village, in the same freaking country, in the same freaking continent for the last 35, 36 years. I think, oh, God, that sounds good. You know?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And at the same time, there's this, best friend, worst enemy thing that we were talking about before. I've got friends that call me, you know, good friends that call me, we maybe haven't heard from each other for like a year or two. And they call me or they send me a message and they say, "Where are you, Paul?" And
Where
I
in the
know that
world?
well, some of them actually say that they envy me,
Oh,
you
right.
know,
For moving
for
around.
like if this freedom I have, it's like, where the fuck are you, Paul? This, you know,
Mm-hmm.
2025. Oh, I'm here. Oh, okay. And
Right.
they kind of envy that freedom that I have, but at the same time, I envy them. Like, oh, some people that have lived in the same village all of their lives, that stability.
Right.
I kind of, oh God, that's got to be good, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I do tend to like to stay in one place. So that's where I get to challenge you, Mr.
Mm,
T, because I can say, right, well, if you're autistic, say,
yeah.
then the idea of you sort of moving house, or even for some ADHD people, the
Mm,
the idea of kind of giving up your stable place where you know all
yes.
the routines and the habits, and you know where everything is, and you know
Mm,
how to get to the store, and so
mm,
your entire system of how you run your life works in this house, and the idea of moving house to go somewhere else
yeah.
is too much. So you'd like try
Mm.
and cling on to staying in one place.
Well, I don't know. I've always really loved the idea of going into a new reality and challenge myself
Hmm.
into a new reality. For instance, I've even, I mean, I talked before about moving, how many times I've moved since I left home when I was 21. But even since I've been in Italy, I've moved 12 times in the
Right.
20 years I've been in Italy. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. No, there is
But
something fun about that.
yeah, but I've seen more of Italy than 99% of Italians have seen.
Right. Hmm.
I've been to Palermo, I've been to Turin, I've been to Milan, I've been here and there, and I've seen so much of Italy. And there's a certain richness that
Mhm.
I've experienced in that. That's all good and that's great, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I am fucking exhausted.
Right.
You know, it's
Yep.
exhausting.
Yeah. No, there is something I really like about, and it really comes to home when I'm sort of growing things. Like I can grow seeds and I can put them in the ground, and I know that I will be there next
Okay.
year. You
Yes.
know, so
Yes.
I can plant. I've started some strawberry seeds this year
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that won't come up till next year, and then they'll kind of like
Mm-hmm.
be good for another 2 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm exactly where I'm going to be,
Mm-hmm.
so I can kind of I like that stability. I can plan
Mm.
ahead because I'm in one
Yes.
place. It's
That's
it's
really
it's
nice.
nice. It's nice.
A example of this was, I'm going back 10 years now. I was at the cinema and I watched at the cinema a documentary about Nick Cave, who is an Australian.
Right.
Those who don't know him, Australian, is part of in a group called Nick Cave and the
Bad
um,
seeds.
Bad Seeds. Okay.
Hmm.
Australian musician, lives in Brighton. Okay. As do most of his Australian band members. Okay.
Right.
At a certain point during this documentary, I think it's called 20,000 Hours. It's a documentary that just basically shadow his life for
Hmm.
20,000 hours. Goes to see his mate in Dover in Kent. Okay.
Right.
And his mate lives in the middle of nowhere in a little ramshackle bungalow. Okay. And
Hmm.
so there he is, and he like goes to visit his mate in his ramshackle cottage in Dover. And me at the cinema, I start to cry
Oh, blimey.
for no particular reason other than I was shocked. It's like, oh, what am I crying about? And I
My eyes are
in
broken.
my eyes are broken. No, they weren't actually. They were actually quite were literally fixed. And I realized that I craved that, you know, that life
Hmm.
that he was having in my home country, middle of nowhere, but slightly bit of a hermit life. This kind of very kind of this way of living, way of being that I crave to have,
Right.
you know.
Hmm. All
And
right.
I totally unexpected, out of nowhere, I was crying like, holy crap! I had no idea why I was crying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes back to this like feeling, having at some point in life I want to feel rooted,
Right. Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
haven't had so far.
Nice. All right.
Nice. All
Are we
right.
on like so where are we up to now?
I think we're
Well,
up to 5.
oh no, we like on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So number 7. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
number 7. All right. I've got being able to start something when you kind of
Oh
just want to
yes.
start something. Just
Yes.
starting something. When you
Yes.
want to start something, it just seems like such a simple idea. That
Yeah.
you can pick a task and then without kind of like spiraling out of control and like you don't have enough spoons
Yeah.
and whatever it is, they can just start. And
Mm-hmm.
I struggle. I struggle to start even things that I really want to do, even things that I kind
Yeah.
of like. Oh yeah, I really want to do this, and it just there seems to be a lot of my brain seems to want to start to kind of like want to process the thing
Mm.
that I'm gonna start doing, and then it just gets caught up in
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thinking about it or something, and then I get anxious about it, and then I
Yeah.
you know don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's there's often nonsensical as well. You
Right.
think why? You might think why, especially post diagnosis. You think okay, you think Jesus Christ, I should know my mind by now, and you almost um like for me, I need to finish. So for me, it's not so much starting something; it's finishing something off.
Right.
You
Yep. Yep.
know,
Yep.
like it's like so many good ideas I've had in the past. So many good ideas, like when the .com thing started, 25 years ago. I had a really good idea. I even had investors. Even the investors were even your ex bosses, Martin. I had a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with, and they said, "Oh, we'd really invest in that idea, Paul," and I didn't take it on. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, for fuck's sake,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
ideas. And I
Yeah.
want to. I'm now at a point where it's really hard to do it, but I'm really trying hard to okay, got a good idea. Okay, let's take that idea and run with it,
Right.
but not just run with it, see it through to its potential. God,
Right.
that's hard.
I can
God, that's
remember
hard.
you and I working at Redland marketing department. So we're going back many years now.
Yeah.
And I was working on a project, and then for some reason I was struggling to finish it. And it was at that point that I realized I was great for the first 80% of a project. And then
Yeah.
on that last 20%, I
Mm,
really tailed off badly, right?
right.
And it came to me like, oh my god, I did 8%, then this is 20%. And and then
Mm-hmm.
from that point, I went, no, I'm going to be good at that 20%. And it
Yes.
almost became
Yeah.
I had to put 80% of my effort into the
Mm-hmm.
last 20% of a
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
to make the whole thing work. Like I had
Yeah.
to realize that I had to put I had to most of the project was the last 20%. And
Yeah.
once I kind of like
I totally get that.
accounted for that, I became a lot better.
Yeah. I totally get that. I totally get that. I worked on, as you know, Martin, I worked on a sculpture last year,
Yeah,
and
last
it was
summer.
exactly that. It was exactly that. Finish it, Paul. Finish it. Finish it. Oh, for God's sake, finish it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but not just finish it. Finish it to its full potential. God, that took so much energy for me.
Yeah. All right. So that was number 7.
Okay.
Number 8
Yes.
is yours, Paul.
Composure.
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 I
Never
think
had it.
you've talked about this before, right?
Yeah,
Where the
yeah.
neurotypical people seem to be kind of somehow centered, and they kind of come off as like
Mm,
self-assured and just
yeah. Or at least have the potential to be composed.
they don't panic so much as
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, the nearest thing I think I get to composure is when I'm painting, sculpting, or photographing.
right. You're like
But
in your
but
little
other
zone.
than that, yeah, other than that, composure is so hard, and it's. I remember I started working with. I started having sessions. Oh God, even that sounds weird. Anyway, I started having sessions with a new psychologist in
Okay.
Turin about well, blimey, going back about 8 years now. Blimey, no, 7 years. Okay, and from the get go, she said, "So, Paul, what do you want out of this? You know,
Mm-hmm.
basically, what she said, what do you want out of the relationship between me and you?" And
Yep.
her as a psychologist, me as a patient. I basically said to her, I wanted composure. I wanted to get to a point in life where I felt happy with my lot
Mm-hmm.
and I could just be,
Mm-hmm.
and that was enough.
Right.
You know, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
said to her. And it's true then as it is today. Composure's like, yeah, I don't have to
Is that
try
like
any harder anymore, you know?
right? Is that like kind of sort of like peace, like a bit of
Yeah,
sense of
it is.
calmness, and
Yeah,
where your nervous system is not kind of going, and
yeah,
your brain's kind
yeah.
of going,
Just letting it, just let it be, let it be, let
let
it
it
be, let it
be.
go.
Right.
But it is that. It's like, letting
I
just
think right.
whatever will be, it's like, you know,
Right. You know what? I definitely feel I'm more in that place than I ever have been.
oh, that's good.
Like you know what you know what it ends up being? It ends
And at the
up
same
being
time, fuck you, you
fuck
bastard.
you.
I only wish the best for you, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, mate.
Oh,
How
that's good
jealous are
though.
you?
That's
Let me
good.
just see how jealous you are. Oh, okay. All
Yes.
right.
Oh,
Fairly.
oh, madam.
Fairly.
Oh, that's good though. That's good.
Yeah. You know what? It comes from I think at some point you end up as you are doing, you start to pull apart your life and go, well, this gives me anxiety and this gets
Mm,
my nervous system on the edge and this doesn't bring me peace. And you kind of go, well, let's just
mm-hmm,
chop these things out, right? And you
mm-hmm,
start chasing just those kind of like nice quiet
mm-hmm,
times, which is I think one of the benefits, like I used to like living in Manhattan, right? Or working in
mm-hmm,
Manhattan and I lived in Brooklyn. It was buzzy all the time. I liked that
mm-hmm,
city um,
mm-hmm.
edge. But then when I
Yeah.
moved out and now I've got like space and I've got a garden, I can
Mm-hmm,
plant things and I've got,
mm-hmm.
and I've got, and like, I was like, oh, suddenly my whole body just goes, just kind of like
See, that could be challenging, right?
winds down. It is for a
That
while.
could
It's
be
like, this
really
is weird.
challenging.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, this is weird. Like, this is silence. I'm not, I'm not, I'm, like,
Yeah.
where are the cop cars screaming up and down the
Yeah.
road?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's really nice. That's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All
Totally.
right.
I guess what came to mind was you were saying that it's like, oh well, I've been chasing the freaking, dopamine all my life. That
Hmm.
didn't work.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, so Paul Martin, when are you going to give that up?
Well, you know what? I, 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 I I almost feel like I'm, I just get dopamine from smaller and less chaotic things, right? So,
Hmm.
like if you have like if it's bustle and drama and stuff going on, you can get dopamine from that. Um,
Yeah.
but actually, over time, you can get dopamine from just really simple, little quiet
Totally.
times.
Oh God, yes.
Um, like
I've
just listening
learned
to
in the
birds and
end.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the simplest things,
Hmm.
like noticing stuff, that other people don't get to notice, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Or for
It's like.
me, one of my greatest pleasures in life is good food, good wine, and good company.
Hmm.
And I don't really, of an evening, I don't really want more than that. I've done everything else.
Right. I,
In an evening kind of entertainment realm,
yeah.
clubbing, concerting, um, drug filled, alcohol fueled evenings. I've done everything and more. Okay. done
Right.
all of that. I don't need to do that again. Now I'm more than happy with, good company, good wine, good food. That's more than enough.
Right. I don't need the good wine and
Yeah.
the good
Okay.
and the good company once in a while, but
Yeah. Okay.
mostly not.
Mm. I totally
Just
get that. I totally get that. Yeah.
just
I
me
totally get that.
and
Yeah.
me doggy
Yes. My dog.
and watching the ducks in our swimming pool.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I could, for instance, it's a good point, well put, Mr. West. Last
Right.
Saturday, I cooked with me and my partner. I cooked a risotto, asparagus risotto,
All right.
good bottle of wine, having
Mm-hmm.
a chat, playing cards,
Nice.
and that was it. That was our evening, and it was
Mm-hmm.
fabulous, a fabulous evening.
Fabulous. I love
I
that.
think she quite liked it too.
Oh, cheeky.
Cheeky.
Um,
But yeah, and other simple things, noticing, you and I, we both, we actually, we first met at art college, and the first thing that I think it was Sheila said to us on the first day, or definitely the first week, she said, "We're going to teach you to see with new eyes."
new eyes.
And new eyes.
And
And
you're
I
like,
still
okay, let me
hold
just
on to
get mine
that.
out.
It is a gift that keeps on giving to see things. A
Mm-hmm.
gift that keeps on giving to see things, see beauty, and in everyday things is
Right.
a joy.
So what we're saying is like neurotypical brains have far less noise than
Yeah,
ours. So it would be
yeah,
nice to kind of like have a brain that was less chaos in your head,
yes,
and you could just kind of like be. It would just be easier just to kind of find your little zen
yeah,
piece.
yeah. But I guess how I would wrap up that, at least in my mind, that discussion is that in that chaos, when you've experienced that level of continuous chaos for 40, 50 years, you your brain becomes somehow trained in all of that chaos to deal with the chaos and therefore filter the chaos
Right.
and know what feels good and what doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Yep.
does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. We are very good at
In
working in chaos.
Yeah. So I think you develop a very agile mind in the end. It's
Right.
a painful journey, but you get there.
Right. You can find peace in a very difficult situation, right? So
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
if there's a problem and people are freaking out, someone with
Yeah.
ADHD or some neurodivergent person can be
Mhm.
quite level-headed and cool and actually
Mhm.
function a lot better in chaos
Mhm. Yeah.
because we are so used to working in chaos.
Yeah.
Nice. All right,
Nice.
my last one, number 9. I saved
Nine.
my big
Number
guns
9.
for the last one. Um, so I am jealous of neurotypicals being understood by by de- by de- by de- de- by default. Like they
Mhm.
can be understood like the default position for society is they are understood,
Yeah.
whereas we
Oh,
as
that's a good one.
neurodivergent we have to work
Mm.
at explaining
Yes.
ourselves. We like we we find that we have to kind of like make up or mask, right? So you end up having to mask and to put a lot more effort into just working in that normal world and being understood, whereas neurotypical people have a lot less work to do to just be understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
We
know what
just
you
have,
mean. And at the same time, the
yes.
complexity of the ADHD mind is also its joy.
Well, yes, I was going to come on to the twist part, why it's good
Okay,
for
sorry.
us
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Right. I just wanted to kind of hang on to that kind of for a little bit longer, like
Sorry. I,
neurotypicals
I, I
have
didn't
this.
allow I didn't leave enough room for the hanging.
No, no, we should hang more, Paul. We should
Oh,
hang
we should
more.
hang. All right, let's talk about something else. That's a really
Uh,
nice point, though. That's a really, really nuanced and really
right.
nice thing.
Why do they get to be understood and we have to work at it?
Yeah,
We have to work.
yeah,
We Paul. We have to do a podcast. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
that's work. That's extra work that we're
yeah.
putting in
Yes.
just to try and
82 podcasts.
explain to the world.
Yeah.
Just to make the world understand us more.
Yeah, but also being vulnerable because it's not new. It's nothing new. It's like ADHD didn't happen now, today, in this episode. It's always been there.
Right.
It's just that we're like putting ourselves on the you know on the block, putting our heads on the block, and actually being vulnerable. Whereas nothing more vulnerable than having your head on a block, and saying, this is what it feels like to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be sensitive, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
more sensitive than neurotypicals are. It's
Right.
it's hard work.
Right. Think about this, Paul. The world assumes that we are normal. So you walk down the
Right.
street, you go into a store, you do this, you do
Yeah.
that, and the world assumes that you're normal
Mm-hmm.
unless
Mm-hmm.
you happen to know that person. And then because we are who we are, stuff will happen. We'll be fishing
Mm-hmm.
out, trying to fish our keys out of a restaurant trash can,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they go, "Oh, what? No, this person's not normal." And then we have to, as I said, we have to put in effort to explain who we are and to
Yes.
try and include us under that normal umbrella. Um,
Yeah. I
but
would go further than that. But yeah,
yes,
okay, go on.
no,
Go on.
go further, Paul.
I
Go
would go
further.
further than that. I think it's become flipped now. It's become that. I think it's become they've started to. I think there's a certain level of aggression against people that are neurodiverse, and I think it's based on envy because, like, oh, they have something they can really hang their hat on. You know, they can hang their hat on. Okay, there's a why, there's a reason. You know why
Right.
they're struggling and everything. I think there's a level of envy,
All right.
because there's this sense of place, tribalism in being neurodiverse that they.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would. Yeah. I would definitely say that there is a reaction to um, neurodivergent people
Mhm.
having a voice and and putting ourselves into a group. Um,
I think identity
right. I'm not entirely
would
sure
be
that
the
it's
key word.
necessarily jealousy or envy. It's just like we are now the other, and we've just become visible,
Right.
and
Otherness.
they don't like that because it
Mm.
means that normal is bigger than they thought it was. Right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
more in normal than they think, which and it requires
Hmm.
them to put in effort or work or something into
Yeah.
including us, and they
Hmm.
resent the work it would need to understand, right?
Hmm.
To understand us.
Their
They
perceptions have been challenged about
they
what normal means.
right, and they don't want to put in the work. It's easier
Hmm.
to hate something than it is to love something, right? It's easier to
Yeah.
go
Or indifferent.
right. I mean, that would be a start. That would be
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
I would take that
But
over dislike
yeah. Yeah.
or hate.
I mean, it's a really difficult thing. The I can't think of in Italian, the paragone, you'd say in Italian. The similarity is in the trans community at the moment. I mean, it's just abhorrent. It's just disgusting what's happening at the moment in the,
Hmm.
the negative feeling towards the trans community at the moment, and
Right.
there's just so much just toxicity going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think unfortunately, this what's the word I'm thinking of? Um, oh God, um,
Don't know, mate.
um,
What is the
the
word?
divide. The people thinking in this black and white way it's not going in a good direction at the moment.
It is not.
Polarization.
All right. There
Just
we
this
go. We got that.
polarization, and it's not, the answer isn't in polarization. It's not there. No one's going to find it in polarization. It's going to be in nuances, being about being understanding. It's going to be in empathizing and thinking, oh, maybe my perceptions and my thinking is missing something. Maybe I'm not informed. All these challenging concepts, you know, that people are feeling it seems like they're less and less willing to take on.
Right, because it's not useful for their agenda.
Yeah.
Including or being inclusive is there is more power in in having an enemy and pointing to an enemy,
Right.
and
There you
saying
go.
it's their fault. Like there is more
Yes.
power there than there is
Hmm.
in the effort to include. Right. That's
Yes.
um,
Well,
so
it's
yeah.
always it seems like there's always been this obsession, and religion as a big part of it is good and bad. Good and bad. It's always been there. It's polarization. It's nothing new. It's always, good and evil.
Hmm.
And it's not. The world isn't like that. The world isn't good and evil. It's everything in between, for
Right.
heaven's sake, you know.
Yeah. All right. Number 10. Let's get to number 10, Mr. T.
I've got, well, it just seems after that discussion, this one seems a little bit banal, but I've got I'll say it anyway. I've got
Yes.
avoidance of all related ADHD tax fallout. I I envy the neurotypical world for not having um not having had to pay all of the taxes I've had to pay in my 58 years
You mean
of the
actual
consequences.
taxes or like
No,
ADHD tax?
ADHD related taxes, you know, the costs, I'm talking probably in my case, getting, oh God, this is interesting. Having think about it. I'm probably talking about 200,000 euros.
Right.
I'm guessing. putting it out there as a figure that it's
Right.
cost me. I think that's pretty accurate. I think
Right. So
you know
you're so
that
you're
I'd
so
rather have
you're
in my bank.
right. So you're saying that because you have ADHD and the consequences of that and mean that you've ended up having to pay another 200
Yes,
grand
yeah,
on, whereas a
hmm
neurotypical person probably a little bit more on it, not procrastinating so much, and then
hmm
they don't end up
So the
having to
envy is less an envy that's less emotionally based. It's more practically based. I
money,
would
money,
rather
money.
have that
Well,
money. You know, money
right,
is I don't want to. I'm not a capitalist by any in any in by any shape or form, but it is money does have a consequence in terms of peace of mind. It does.
well,
Let's
yeah.
say
I
it.
mean, it's the kind of like, oh God, I mean, because I've been in this place before where I've procrastinated about something and it's cost me hundreds of thousands, right?
Hmm.
And it becomes emotional because you feel like such a fucktard, right? Because you kind of feel like such an idiot,
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
like you're like
Yes.
yeah, it does a hit
The
job on
shame related
your
to it.
self esteem, right? And you go into a guilt shame spiral, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, it isn't about the money. It ends up being about the sort of emotional cost
Yeah.
that it hits you with because you're like, I'm such a
Yeah.
fucktard. Why?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then you
Oh,
just can't
totally.
trust yourself.
Yeah.
Blah.
I should be, as a 58-year-old man, I should be way more comfortable than I am. Way more comfortable
Right,
than I am.
right.
But this is where I am. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not very emotional. It's not very kind of romantic. Not the most romantic or stimulating part of this conversation for this podcast, but it's a big for me. It's a big factor in the end
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
and it is related to your well-being. Your state of
Right.
mind.
There we go. All right. So that is our top 10.
Our top
Top
10.
10 things that we are a little bit jealous about neurotypical people. Um,
Yes.
my little kind of closing comment is that we might not be consistent, but we are memorable.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's yes. In
Right.
terms of our, what we leave behind. What's the word? It's one of those words that I can never remember. Our
Legacy.
legacy. Thank you, Martin. Our
I've got
legacy.
two on the ends of my hips. See,
Okay. Legacies.
legacy.
I've got
See
I've
what I
got
did there?
legabees. I've got legabees. Um, and the legacy. You know, we push comes to shove. Who gives a flying doodah about what we leave behind, other than a legacy? An emotional legacy is the most important.
Right. I tend to like to think of that. Right, because it's like, so much of my life has been chaos and crap and shit and damage and
Right, in that order.
fires and right and disaster
Fires.
fires. I mean, just like, just I just mean like, it's those kind of films where a disaster film, like
Yeah.
so there's a whole bunch of my life which is like a disaster film, and then now I'm trying to kind of like at least kind of put things right in some way and just trying to
Mhm.
fix things and trying to at least end in a place that was
Would
like
you like, in terms of
good.
film genres, would you like it to turn into a kind of a rom com?
Oh God, no! Who wants that? Who wants that?
What film would you like your life to turn into if it was a film genre?
Oh God, like I don't know. It has to be it has to be like at the end of the film where I'm dead, and then there's a sort of like a wake and a party, and they go
Okay.
and you go, you know what? He was a bit of a cunt, but 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 he came good in the
Right.
end,
Right.
and he did these good things, and
Right.
he was positive, and he made a difference, even though we started out in like arsehole world.
Yes.
It's like a sort of a hero's journey, right? So you,
Yeah.
bad comes good, right?
Right.
That's the film. It's just that hero's journey,
You're right.
and it all ends fine.
I think what you're saying is you'd like to be a genre busting kind
Oh,
of
I don't
guy.
know. No, I think it's like almost every genre is like, you know, zero to hero
Okay.
story arc.
I'd like
So,
to be. I'd like to be genre busting. I'd
all
like
right.
to be. Have you seen the film Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies?
No, I've seen the book, but not the
Okay,
film.
seen it or read it?
I've seen it. I've just seen the cover.
Oh, okay. You should see the. You should watch the film
All right.
Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. It's great.
All right. That will
I
never
want to
happen.
be. I'd like to describe my life when I finally pop my clogs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be. I want to be that kind of genre. I want to be a genre busting kind of chap.
All right.
And
Very
that'd be
nice.
okay for me.
All right. Cool.
That would be a legacy that I could deal with.
Paul genre busting Thompson. Um. All right. Well, let's end there.
Yes, yes,
We are gonna. I think I am gonna kind of like say, yeah. Let's just kind of do the feedback
yes.
bit, and then we'll zip through the the final end is in sight. God, this is like
Okay.
we've been recording since 1:30, 2:30, 3:30,
Two and
almost
a
2.5
quarter hours.
hours. God
Mm.
damn it. Oh,
We've had technical problems, guys,
we have had technical problems.
but
We've had
I think it's
speech
one of the best.
problems.
Maybe the best episode we've ever freaking recorded.
Oh, well,
Especially
I'm
because Martin said the word cunt, not 5 minutes ago,
it's
which
taken
personally was for me a highlight.
it's taken 83 episodes for the C word. So that's good.
Even Eddie got up for that one. Even Eddie was rooting for you
Yeah,
on
no,
that
he
one.
is. He's like down by my
Eddie
feet.
was saying, "Finally, you said it's
Yeah.
about time."
Actually, he's like, "Come on, can you just feed me, you bastard?" That's what he's thinking.
Okay, what
All
is
right.
Eddie's feeding time?
It's anywhere between 4 and 5, and we're like 10 to 4. So he's
Same,
like,
same for
he's
my
like,
Rudy. Same for Rudy.
he's like, "Come on, then, get that food in me. What are you waiting for? Come on, feed me.
Come on.
Oh, that's him."
Okay.
Um.
So yeah,
All right.
feedback. Should we get back in the tractor or we
Let's
discuss?
get back in the tractor and we'll go back to the pub. Come on, let's get in there. I can't hear it. I'm sure we're in there. I'm sure it's getting enough sounds. All right. Cool. That's probably the tractor over.
Yeah.
This is where you say.
This is where I say your feedback is vital to us. Full stop. We read all of your comments and we might read yours out on a future podcast. Full stop. Like these two that Marty is about to mention.
Like this one.
If there's more than
So
one. Oh,
no, there is just the one. So Alexandra, the official ADHD
hello.
town
Hello,
crier.
Alexandra.
Um, always a lovely comments. And she was commenting on last week's, where you and I took an autism test.
Yes.
and we were kind of wondering about our particularly high scores. We're like, ooh,
Yes.
ooh,
Impressive.
that's a bit interesting. And she does point out that a negative autism test can be false. So
Yes.
if you score low, that doesn't mean that you don't have autism. But she goes on to say that a positive one, i.e., one where we've scored fairly high, is almost every time positive. So if you've scored highly, there is a far greater chance that it's correct rather than
Okay. I'll get that.
yeah.
I get that. Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like if you scored highly, yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the club, mate. That's what
Yeah.
it.
I'd like to add, because I'm not sure if we said this, because if people are curious, go back to the last last episode. Just want to point out that most autism tests are based on white males as subjects. So
Mhm.
the autism tests are so they
Bias.
seriously need updating, and
Well,
they need to be made much more relevant to a much broader
right.
audience,
Well,
autistic
as we are
audience.
white males, they are much
Yeah,
more suited to us. So if we've scored
yeah.
highly,
Oof. Who knows?
watch out! Watch out! All
Yeah.
right. So next week we're gonna.
Next week we're going to be
What do
talking
we?
about ADHD and the sense of smell.
Mm,
Oof.
I
Which
think
some
that's
would
going to
say
be
sense of smell is, the most linked to memory,
right.
for instance.
Yeah, it
So
is.
let's see how that turns out, Martin.
Right. Some ADHD research into ADHD and smells. All right. So that just finally leaves me, although I'm not going to
After
hear this.
2 and a bit hours, a lot of hours.
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh, it's been
Is
hard work.
right. Is to say that ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts.
Fresh.
Please subscribe to the pod and rate us. Most amazing, and feel free to correspond with us in the comments. But wait, there is more. If you wish to see our beautiful faces, then sally forth to the YouTubes and the TikToks.
Or Sally Fields.
And you can also pick up a quill and email us at ADHDville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, know thyselves, sons of the hounds, come hither and get the flesh.
We got to the end.
We got to the end. We did it.
We got to the end. Jesus Christ.
There, says the mayor. That's that.